we are driving in the deserts of Southern California. I'm outside of Hemet, in between like Hemet and Manapede, and I'm just driving. Look at the hills; they're just incredible. Wow, you can't see them because you're down there. I have this other phone though. Ah, let's set it up. Okay, what are we doing? I was listening to the Fat Electrician, and he's just a really good storyteller. It's just awesome. And almost three, two, one. Then we're gonna go three, two, one. Okay, and then we're gonna switch it to the opposite direction, and there you go, and boom, two cameras going forward and back. Yeah, what do you think of that? Um, yeah, the sun's really not in my eyes. It is right here. I got my sun visor up on my driver's door window, but oh, that's about it. Oh, the mountains look cool though, going through here. We're going to be going across those over there. Over that way. Yes, that way. I can't just point off on my own. It's off camera and you can't see. Kind of not cool. Ah, here we go to our first light. Well, first light since I started this. Sometimes it tells me to make a left here and then go down another way, but not today. It says continue driving. And all these people are going to the right, and I don't know, can you see them? I don't know. Ah! There a lot of people make a left turn here. I like to go straight and stop at the Del Taco, and I'll either get a carne asada breakfast burrito and an orange juice, or I'll get a egg and cheese burrito and an orange juice. Just depends on my mood for the day. Today is going to be carne asadas, and for lunch, Chick-fil-A. Every time they ask my name, so now I just tell them Captain. And I just order my food, and they ask me my name, Captain. And if they ask why, I just go, because I'm a captain. It's, yeah, here we go. Because I'm a captain. Here we go. That's why. Traffic light ahead. We are really going slow right now. And slower. And slower. And slower. Almost to a stop here, but there you go. They have two cameras, so you can look at the forward, you can look at me. But we're having fun. Oh, okay, you're going really slow. Wow, somebody's got a car trailer up here. I like looking at this. Oh, wow, that's a nice car trailer. It's a double. He has two cars. He has a Jeep and a small SUV, a Mercedes SUV. Nice trailer, mister. And a power wagon. That was kind of cool. There is a Del Taco. There's a closer Del Taco than the one that I go to. And the reason I don't go to it is it's on the left side. And if I go to the one that's on the right, I'm just in and out quicker. Willow Glen. Willow Glen. Hmm. Number. Let's see, who is this guy? Immediate open. Hey, if you want a job driving a cement mixer, there was a chance. Hope you got the number. They said the will trade. I guess they, you know what? I've noticed they have that. They've had that same thing on for years and years and years and years. So it must be hard to hire a cement mixer delivery guy. Because not only are you a truck driver, you have to know, I guess, how to keep everything going and get there on time and blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. 56 and a 55. Not me, but that's what somebody was doing. Now we are definitely in the city of Menifee. I do believe it says, yeah, right there's the city limits. Welcome to Menifee. So there you go. I just knew it because we're, just coming into this housing development. And that would have to be it. Going into Orange County, everybody usually asks, "Where are you going?" And hi, I am Elon Musk. I'm sending you this message from the planet Mars. Oh, thank you, Elon. And Martin Roscoe wants me to say hi. And no one in my view wants anything because they're not even saying anything. But somebody's giving me a bunch of smiley faces. That's cool. So, wow, now we're moving, and now I can't read. Well, I'm at a stoplight. I'll lean in and read. I think it's cool. Ah, the fat electrician. Have you heard of him? If you kind of like military history, it's not just military. I mean, he did one on a company owner of the guy who started Arizona Iced Tea. So, but he's just a good storyteller. Look up the Fat Electrician on YouTube. He is good. Let me tell you, he is just. Some people can't tell a story, and other people can. And he can. He can definitely tell. There's the Del Taco off to the left. Again, it's a little bit much to go into that one. And the next city up, it's after we cross over the 15, and then we'll go into Murrieta. This is Menifee. And once we go into Murrieta, there's another Del Taco, but it's on our right side. And then I can just pull in, go to the drive-thru, and go back out. And be on my way. Oh, people are saying, say hi. Oh, hey, bro. Just slow down there for a second. Couldn't read a whole lot of it. Look at this Archibalds. Archibalds. What is it? A hamburger joint? Maybe. Maybe. I do not know. Okay. Slamming on their brakes really early. They have a quarter-mile space between them and the car in front of them. What is this? You are. All right. What is that? I can't even pronounce the name of the back of that truck bed on the back of that utility truck there. Not behind that. I can't even contemplate. But I don't like being behind the quarter mile club here. The quarter mile club people were just horrible. All right. Nice. Now I can read. I am from Southern California. We are in the Inland Empire. We're out by the 215 freeway. It's a interstate bypass. It's the 15, goes through Corona and Riverside, I guess. Or not really. It goes through Pomona and Corona. The 215 just goes out to the east of it and then swings back down into the 215 north of San Diego. But we are right here in Menifee off of the 215. I don't even know what the name of the street is, even though I drive it every day. Just map tells me to turn right, and I do. There you go. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Newport Boulevard. We're on Newport in Menifee. Oh wow. They were going over the 215. My burrito is waiting for me. Those eggs aren't made yet, but they're close to it. Maybe they're beaten and they're just in a jug and they're going to pour it out, cook it on a griddle, and then they're going to add my beef, the carne asadas, and I'm going to get a scorcher pack of hot sauce. I'm going to pour it in it, and it's going to be good. It's going to be great. I'm going to drink it with orange juice. Have it with an orange juice. That'll be nice. Let's see, where are we? Say we're probably about a mile yet before we get there. There's quite a few lights we go through. Not really a quarter miler, but they are not keeping up with the car in front of them. If you keep a normal distance of the car in front of you and you're going through the traffic light sensor sees traffic and will keep the light green as long as it's timed for. But if it sees a big gap and you're one of those people who leave a big gap between you and the car in front of you, it will trigger because it thinks, oh, okay, traffic's lighter. We're going to go ahead and stop it and let these people go through on the cross the city traffic. Yeah. This is kind of a neat city to get through with everything that it offers. I need to stop at the CVS and grab. I do need to go grab some Del Taco where I'm going, and I can go in and grab some sausages. There we go. after this next light up here, I have to get over into the right lane. Might as well go now. Yeah, this guy to the left in that Toyota Camry, he's definitely a member of the quarter mile club. He has so much space between him and the car in front of him. And that's what triggers the lights. And I was wondering why that light triggered. There was so much more traffic to go through. And that was why. It saw that big gap and it goes, okay, traffic's in. Even though the other two lanes are like triggering, it just saw that big gap. And when it sees that gap, it sees the time in that one lane that no one goes through. That's a sensing point, a sensing trigger to get them. There's our Del Taco. You can not see the building past the chevron there, but it's there. I'm gonna get a burrito, breakfast burrito. We're almost like, come on, light. Cross traffic still going, then we're gonna have the turn lane. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that looks like a major light, Marietta Road. Yeah, that should be. Oh yeah, that goes all the way down by the hospital. That's right. We take Marietta Road over to the hospital. That's where April goes. That Tesla has one of those digital license plates. You see that? It's kind of cool. Oh, there's the 26 sticker on that car in front of us. See, it has a red sticker. It has a January and then a red sticker. It says 2026. I am February 2025 on my plate. So as of tomorrow, I can get my sticker, and I will. $375, I think it's going to cost me this year. Plus a smog. Have to go get smog checked. There we go. And come on, to the left. There we go. Look at all these people blocking me from getting my burrito. I'm sad. People, you should leave and let me get my burrito. It's like I'm not the only person in the world. Ha! I beg to differ. Oh, today's my birthday. I am 64 years old. Got another year for Medi-Cal. Arizona tea. That's the electrician I was telling you. That bad electrician. I was going to tell a story about Starbucks. Let's listen to it. Let's just listen to it.
I'm just going to be honest with you. When I started this video, I kind of just wanted to know how they made so much money selling overpriced coffee. I was not expecting them to secretly be an unregulated bank that was powerful enough to manipulate the real estate industry. But here we are. Today we're talking about Starbucks, the coffee shop that also manages $1.7 billion worth of other people's money, doesn't have to pay interest to them, and faces no banking regulation while they do it.
Delete me!
You look nice.
I thought we were going to do Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Why aren't you dressed up?
I forgot.
The no deleted scenes for you.
Wait, what does that mean? Wait, what does that mean? This video is brought to you by straightforward business. You give them money, they make sure the data brokers aren't.
Can I get a carne asada breakfast burrito combo with an orange juice?
Okay. Just a carne asada breakfast burrito meal with an orange juice?
Yes.
All right. And you want it?
Thank you. And I'm really old today. That's it sounds like a police officer. It doesn't sound like an ambulance. Usually the ambulance have double sirens and the police will just have a regular one. That's why. Okay, the world's biggest unregulated bank. Back to the fat electrician. Let's see what he says.
Your personal information on the internet. So if you don't know, pretty much any time that you use social media or any other free thing on the internet, that company is probably making money by harvesting your personal information and selling that to data brokers, and the data brokers sell it to whoever. Next thing you know, you're getting weird emails and robocalls, but luckily these data brokers have to delete your information if you fill out the appropriate request, and Delete Me will do that automatically for you, and then they will keep scanning all the data brokers and filling out requests as needed to make sure that your private information is not being sold on the internet. So if you want to go check them out, I'm going to have them linked in the description down below, and then they're also always linked over on my website, thefatelectrician.com. Let's get back to this video. All right, from the top, 1971, three friends open up a coffee store, not a coffee shop, a coffee store. They're not brewing coffee in-house and letting people leave with drinks. They don't have an atmosphere where people can come in and feel welcomed and drink coffee. No, they have a store that sells coffee beans, coffee, and then coffee making equipment like espresso machines, coffee bean grinders, and coffee pots. And while that sounds like a recipe for failure today, it was actually a huge hit at the time, because at this point in time in America, the 1970s, there was no good coffee. There was just like the shit you can get in a can at a grocery store, go home and make yourself. It wasn't good coffee. Americans didn't have a coffee culture per se. It was literally just people drinking coffee to get caffeine, not because they liked coffee. So when the Starbucks guys came out and they started selling actual fresh roasted whole bean coffee, and then you could buy all the equipment to make it yourself at home, it was pretty popular. Then one day, because Starbucks was selling so many coffee pots and espresso machines and coffee bean grinders, the local salesman in charge started to take notice of like, hey, this one little tiny coffee store is selling more coffee making equipment than all the major department stores in the area combined. I need to go figure out what's going on here. And that guy's name was Howard Schultz, the future owner, CEO, and kind of the mastermind behind the entire thing, because he shows up, sees what the Starbucks guys are doing, he falls in love with it. He thinks it's a brilliant idea, and he basically has to beg them to be involved. So they kind of reluctantly let him on board. He becomes the business manager of sorts, and over the course of the next decade, they end up opening 3 more of these coffee stores inside the city of Seattle. Then in the mid-1980s, Howard Schultz ends up going to Italy on vacation, and he goes into an actual Italian coffee shop, which is something like he's never experienced before, because they don't have coffee shops like that in America at this point in time. He walks in the door, you can smell freshly ground coffee, there's baristas doing all their fancy kung fu moves, making lattes and shit, there's an entire culture, there's people, reading newspapers, talking, and it hits him, this is literally just a bar, but you get to go to this one before work instead of going after work, right? Because all a bar is selling atmosphere. You can buy all the alcohol way cheaper at the grocery store, but then you have to drink it at home by yourself, so you're willing to pay 5 times as much to go have that same beer at a bar to enjoy the atmosphere and other people's company, and that's exactly what this coffee shop is doing, but they're doing it with coffee. And Howard realizes he's already the wholesaler for really good coffee, so if he opens up his own coffee shop, it would be like Anheuser-Busch opening up their own bar. He's no longer getting the product at wholesale price, he's getting the product at manufacturing price. He's going to make a killing. So he goes back home, tries to sell this idea to the other Starbucks guys. They're not having it.
That's not the original story I heard. Now, how I heard was one day there was an accident on the interstate, and they were waiting for their delivery. People they came into the Starbucks to buy their coffee, and they couldn't get the coffee there. They couldn't get it there. And yet they had to do something with their stores. They were still open.
So 891, any hot sauce?
Yes, scorcher, please. And hi, somebody said hi. And what had happened was they started, they had some coffee, obviously. It's not like a barren store. So they made the coffee and they offered samples to everybody. Everybody got a little taste of coffee. They didn't get a big cup, but they got a little cups of coffee, and they were giving it. And the people liked it. Thank you. And they sold so much more coffee on that day, and then they hand delivered it. Once the truck got through, they took everybody's name and address down and sold it, and they delivered the coffee. And that's how Starbucks said, hey, we should offer coffee being made. Yeah, I was going to go into the store and grab some things, but I want to get on the road and get over to. So, but here's the thing. That's what I heard. But knowing the fat electrician, he's researched this. And what I learned should be taken with a grain of salt. And what he's saying is probably more accurate. Because I didn't know about this other guy coming in. I did know about them going over to Europe and sitting down in an actual shop where they made real nice coffee. And he said, "Wait, this is definitely good." But let's see what he says. Let's see how much further this goes.
Isn't broke, we're not going to fix it. Just keep doing what we're doing. So Howard Schultz is like, fine, I'm going to step away from Starbucks. I'm going to go open up my own coffee shop and do my own thing. This happened in 1985. By 1987, the original 3 Starbucks owners are having some financial troubles with the company. They just want to sell it, move on to a different business venture together. So they offered up first to their friend Howard, who's been busy running his own coffee shop for the past couple of years. They want $3.8 million for the company of Starbucks, and they're going to give him 60 days to where he doesn't have to compete with a bunch of other buyers. So Howard Schultz now has a 60-day grace period to come up with $3.8 million in the 1980s, so that's way more money than it is today. Sounds like a crazy person, right? He's going into banks being like, hey, I've got this business idea. I'm going to open up a coffee shop. Think of it as like a bar, but instead of selling beer at night, I'm going to sell coffee in the morning, and people are going to come and pay $4 for a cup of coffee. Here's the kicker. We're not going to sell coffee in sizes like small, medium, and large, like literally everything else on the planet. We're just going to come up with some made-up Dr. Seuss words like tall, grande, venti, trenta, whatever other random fucking bullshit words I want to make up, and it's going to be a huge hit. You should definitely give me millions and millions of dollars.
No, you're dead, Carl. You say no to life, and therefore you're not living. You don't have a girlfriend. You don't have anything close to a girlfriend. Am I right, Carl?
So to everybody's surprise, the bank isn't really interested in that idea, so he starts going to venture capitalists, and finally he gets referred to a venture capitalist by the name of Bill Gates Sr., aka Bill Gates' dad, that agrees to give him the money so that he can buy Starbucks. Now, is that super relevant to the story? No, not really, but I know that by bringing him up, there's now going to be 1,000 conspiracy theories.
Dad? Yeah, I guess Bill Gates would probably, his dad would have all this money. Wow, that's incredible. That means he met Bill Gates probably at a party or something. Wow, that's neat. Let's continue.
Comments down below, and I wanted to read them, so you can probably check those out too. Anyways. Now, with Howard Schultz in charge of the company, to everybody's surprise, it starts doing great, and he starts opening up more and more Starbucks all over the country. And just to be clear, Starbucks was not the first coffee shop in North America, but it was the first mainstream chain of coffee shops that was a lot of people's introduction to coffee shops in America. And for that reason, they kind of got credit for a lot of different things. Pretty much anything new that came out in the coffee industry, Starbucks would adopt it, and they would kind of get credit for it. Like, they didn't invent the Frappuccino. That was invented by Coffee Connection out of Boston, Massachusetts in 1992. But everybody associates a Frappuccino with Starbucks, which obviously was just the next evolution of coffee in America, right? Because it's a very niche community that enjoys a nice strong cup of coffee, or a cappuccino, or an Americano, or a latte, your traditional coffee drinks. So if they wanted to make more money and expand bigger, they needed to appeal to a wider audience. And how do you appeal to a wider audience, particularly an American one? You add fucking 72 grams of sugar and some whipped topping and drizzle some caramel and hot chocolate on top. Fucking bam. Energy milkshake, okay? I know that's going to upset a lot of people, but if your drink has over 250 calories and it's got whipped topping, it's not coffee, okay? That is a milkshake with caffeine in it.
Wait, is this just milk and sugar?
That's what I said.
Do you drink this every day?
Every morning.
So now they're no longer just targeting coffee snobs, they're targeting kids, teenagers, and most importantly, middle-aged, middle-class housewives that have enough expendable income to afford $12 energy drink milkshakes every single day. So now they're literally just swimming in money, right? The Frappuccino is like a giant iceberg. Starbucks is the Titanic. As soon as those two things collided, there's just money everywhere. So now that they're making a ton of money, their business model is just rapid expansion, okay? Starbucks, you got to keep this in mind, is not a franchise. All the Starbucks are owned by Starbucks. You can't buy your own Starbucks and be a franchisee. They're all the same company. So these guys are literally just trying to expand everywhere because in the early 1990s, the coffee craze is starting to hit all over the country, and they want to be the first coffee place that most people end up trying so they can get those loyal customers and they get all the business. And whether you like Starbucks or not, you got to admit they did a pretty good job at being literally fucking everywhere all the time, because Starbucks is like the only business I've ever been in where I can be inside of a Starbucks, look out the window, and see another Starbucks off in the distance. And this goes on for almost a decade. Starbucks is just raking in the money, opening up new stores all over the place. And by 2000, Howard Schultz decides that he's going to step down as CEO and he's going to focus all of his efforts into expanding the company, having Starbucks everywhere, all over the world. That same year, Howard Schultz takes Starbucks to China, which is absolutely insane because China drinks tea. They don't drink coffee.
Pour the tea.
Regardless, Howard Schultz shows up in China, opens up a Starbucks, basically like just, hey, commies, I know you guys like tea, but hear me out. Try some coffee and some blue jeans. It's way cooler. And to everybody's surprise, the Chinese people fucking loved it, and they started opening up Starbucks at a rate that Starbucks had never seen. Okay, they were opening up a new Starbucks every 15 hours for 20 years straight in China. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, nothing warms my heart more than when a communist nation falls in love with American fast food. It's just perfect.
I won.
Fast forward to 2008, Starbucks is now losing money for some reason. Nobody can really figure out why. So Howard Schultz comes back, becomes CEO again, and he's trying to figure out what have they done to his company. He's been focusing on growing, opening up new locations. Meanwhile, all the locations that have already been opened aren't making as much money as they should be. What on earth is going on? Schultz discovers for the past 8 years in his absence that he's been letting a bunch of business majors run his business, and all they care about is how to maximize profits. So they did just that. They streamlined everything. They automated everything. Starbucks no longer grinds coffee in-house at its coffee shops. They do it all in a factory and just ship the ground coffee there. It's quicker. It's more efficient. It probably makes more money. But now Starbucks, a coffee shop, doesn't smell like freshly ground coffee. It smells like a hospital. They replaced all the traditional espresso machines with these automatic machines that would just spit out a completely done drink, which means they basically got rid of baristas and they just had a person behind the counter that would grab the cup from the machine that made it and hand it to the person. Essentially, the business majors had gotten rid of the culture and the experience of going to a coffee shop, which was the entire point and justification of overcharging for coffee in the first place. Remember, it's just like a bar. You wouldn't want to go drink a beer inside of a hospital room. You'd rather go home and do that in your backyard. If you're going to go and overpay for beer, you want to go to a cool bar with your friends. It's the same deal with a coffee shop. People pay for products and people pay for experiences, and they got rid of half of that equation, and it's making the entire company suffer.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
Howard Schultz correctly identifies this and pretty much immediately has everybody start grinding the coffee fresh in the individual Starbucks locations to bring back that coffee smell. He gets rid of all the automatic machines, brings back all the traditional coffee shop equipment, and then he shuts down every single Starbucks and retrains all the baristas in how to turn this place into an actual coffee shop again. And with that, the crisis is averted. Everything's back on course. They're making money again like they're supposed to be. Howard Schultz has one eye on the past. He knows how they got here. He knows what he needs to keep doing to be successful, but now he's got to keep that other eye on the future. Okay, you got to remember, it's 2008, 2009. Smartphones are becoming a thing. Everybody's getting an app. Starbucks has to get an app, right? Okay, so they build the Starbucks app. Now, the app is super straightforward. You take money, you put it on the app. The money sits there until you spend it at a Starbucks, and then when you do spend money from the app, you're going to get stars, which is basically your rewards, and once you get so many stars, you get a free drink. And then as time progressed, you could do online ordering, and you could order from your phone, so it was ready when you got to the coffee shop if you were in a hurry or something. But the key function of the Starbucks app is that it's essentially a gift card that's on your phone. You charge it up, you spend it at Starbucks, you get free rewards. And it works out great for a lot of people, right? If you go to Starbucks every day, spending $10 a trip, and you're spending $300 a month at Starbucks, you can just take $300 at the beginning of the month, charge up your Starbucks thing, and you're good. go, and then you get a bunch of free drinks along the way. But here's the catch with that. While it functions like a gift card to the consumer, it functions like a bank to Starbucks. Okay? I mean, think about how a bank works. You go to a bank, you open up an account, and then you give them your money, and then they just hang on to it for you until they need it. And in the meantime, they go and they invest your money and make money off of your money, and then they give you some of that money back, and that's how much interest you accrue. But what Starbucks has done is you now give Starbucks money, and they sit on that money, and then they don't have to give you that money back. You can't get your money out of the Starbucks app. The only thing you can do with that money now is buy coffee at Starbucks. And they don't have to give you interest for it, right? If you give Starbucks $300, they get to sit on it and do whatever the fuck they want with it. They owe you $300 worth of coffee, which to them probably only costs like $80 to make. But that's their money now, and they get to do whatever they want with it, right? They could literally put it in the stock market and make, 7% interest off of all your money. Meanwhile, you're making nothing.
And I have is that you didn't buy more.
How did you
Sound fair enough?
My wife might divorce me, but yeah, let's do it.
And here's the thing, it's basically a win-win because you don't care. You have $100 in there. They would have paid you like 7 cents. Who cares? It's no big deal, right? But when Starbucks, who in 2024 has 35,000 locations and millions of customers, has all these people with $5, $10, $15, $20, $100, $300 in their Starbucks account sitting there doing nothing, Starbucks, as of 2024, has $1.7 billion sitting inside of their app that hasn't been redeemed yet. Okay, $1.7 billion is more than 90% of all banks in the United States of America have access to. Starbucks is literally one of the biggest banks in the country. They don't have to pay interest to any of their clients. They're not FDIC insured, and they don't owe you shit. Bear in mind, even if you do redeem it, they're making like 100% profit margin built into their prices already. And on top of that, they already know that like 10% of people are just gift cards that are never actually going to redeem it, or they got lost, or they changed phones and they lost track of their account, so they're just going to start a new one. There was $20 there. It's not worth the hassle. Starbucks just gets to keep that money forever. But here's the crazy part, because Starbucks hasn't actually given the customer their product yet. It's just $1.7 billion that's redeemable by the customer, which means that $1.7 billion that is sitting inside of a Starbucks bank account controlled 100% by Starbucks isn't income, it's not profit, it's not revenue, it's a liability, meaning it's not taxed at all. So Starbucks essentially has a $1.7 billion 0% interest untaxed loan that they can use to invest on whatever the fuck they want. They can do the most conservative investing on the planet. They can take all $1.7 billion and invest it in U.S. government treasury bonds that pay 5% and still make $85 million a year for doing fucking nothing.
The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking.
Okay, if you're not picking up what I put down, Starbucks has literally done what cryptocurrency has tried to do. They created their own currency, right? When you look at the US dollar is backed by the US government, which used to be backed by gold, but now it's just backed by the biggest military on the planet. America used to run on the gold standard, now we just run on the lead standard. Regardless, that's what you're banking on when you put your money in US dollars. You're banking on the US government not failing. Starbucks, when you put money in their app, you're just banking on the fact that you're going to be able to go pretty much anywhere in the country or most places around the world and be able to redeem that magical internet coupon on your phone for some good coffee. Okay, the name Starbucks is starting to make a lot more sense now, isn't it? Okay, here's what I want you to think about. Think about a bank. You walk into a bank, in the lobby, there's always free coffee, and then you walk in, you give them your money, and they hang on to it until you want it back. Starbucks does the exact same fucking thing, except somehow they get away with charging you money for the coffee, and then they never ever have to give you your money back. They're only going to give you coffee. This is the craziest business model on the planet, okay? And the best part is there's no victims. Nobody's mad, okay? Everybody that gives Starbucks their money never expects their money back. They just want coffee. And that's exactly what they're happy. Starbucks gets a $1.7 billion untaxed 0% interest loan, makes a ton of money. Everybody gets their coffee. It's the most incredible business model I've ever come across, ever. Okay, at this point, I feel like I've said pretty much nothing but good things about Starbucks, and I need to talk a little smack now so that things can be balanced.
As all things should be.
I don't even know where to start, so we're just going to start with the union thing. Unions are a very political topic. Democrats typically like them. Republicans typically hate them. I'm not getting into what should or shouldn't happen or who's right or who's wrong. All I'm going to say, the baristas have been trying to have a Starbucks union for like the past 10 years, and Starbucks has been fighting tooth and nail to prevent that from happening. And in 2002, to help Starbucks accomplish this, they hired a new manager in Global Intelligence for Retail Operations, which is probably the most menacing title I could possibly come up with. But what's more interesting is this person's background and who they worked for previously. Those being the Central Intelligence Agency and the Pinkerton Group.
Pinkerton Detective Agency, seconded to the United States government. Nice to finally meet.
Okay, just so we're on the same page. First of all, CIA, right out of the gate, overkill immediately. But then you add the Pinkerton Group on top of it, and this is fucking insane. Okay, because if you don't know, the Pinkertons are literally the fucking bad guys from Red Dead Redemption 2, okay? They've been banned from doing federal work for the government since like 1893. Do you know how sketchy you have to be to get banned from working for the United States federal government? And to make it even worse, the reason they got banned, it's literally called the Anti-Pinkerton Act of 1893. The main reason that it went into effect was because the Pinkertons got hired to bust up unions in the 1800s, and they were doing that by joining the unions secretly and breaking them up, which led to a shit ton of violence and murders. So the fact that Starbucks hired one to keep the baristas in line is some of the most unhinged shit I've heard in my entire life. That'd be like if your local school district's administrator hired an ex-Blackwater guy to keep the English department in check, okay? It's complete overkill. Do you know how much money I would pay to be able to be a fly on the wall during the interview for that job and the events leading up to it? Okay, now on to the new CEOs. Howard Schultz retired in 2002, and Starbucks has been struggling ever since because immediately upon entering the job position as CEO, his successor had a brilliant idea. What if we quit focusing on being a coffee shop and we divert all of our efforts and attention to being better at being a drive-through coffee service? Which, to be fair, if you don't think about it, this is absolutely brilliant, right? Because Starbucks has never made this exact mistake before between 2000 and 2008. And even if they did, who cares? Because the only thing better than making a mistake is making the same exact mistake twice.
This is stupid.
So obviously that CEO didn't last very long. He was employed for a total of 17 months before he was forced to step down by the board, and Starbucks just hired their new CEO, the former CEO of Chipotle, and apparently this guy is awesome. I think under his command, Chipotle's stock price rose 700%. So that's great, but here's the problem. This guy lives in California, and he didn't want to move all the way up to Seattle because he enjoys the sun and the beaches, and he didn't want to move where it's gloomy and always raining. But Starbucks really wanted to hire this guy, so what they came up with was he can super commute to Starbucks headquarters 3 times a week. And when I say super commute, I mean he's going to get to take the Starbucks private jet from California to Seattle 1,000 miles round trip 3 times a week. The man's literally the Taylor Swift of CEOs, okay? And honestly, good for him. It's kind of fucking gangster that he got offered a job for $1.3 million a year with a $10 million sign-on bonus and a bunch of stock options. Dude's making millions and millions of dollars a year, and he's still like, nah, I'm not taking the job. I don't want to move. And Starbucks folds and is like, fuck it, you can take the private jet, we'll pay for it, to fly you to work 3 times a week. That's a gangster-ass move. I kind of respect it. But on the flip side, we've got the environment, climate change, which a lot of people care a whole lot about. And to be completely honest, I'm not really one of them. I mean, look at me. I don't exactly scream climate change activist or active in general, really. But regardless, as far as I'm concerned, if they're willing to pay to have this guy fly private 3 times a week, more power to him. Go right ahead. He could drive a fucking M1 Abrams tank to work every day for all I care. Okay, but I don't ever want to hear Starbucks talking about climate change and being green ever again, all right? This is the same company that tried to make the entire planet drink out of reusable cups with mushy-ass paper straws, and half their website is dedicated to showing off how much they care about the environment, how many environmental impact studies they've done, and blah, 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 blah. What do the environmental impact studies say? Only poor people can put carbon into the atmosphere? Get the fuck out of here. Why don't you guys just tell the truth? Throw it up on the website. Have a press release that just straight up says, hey, we've hired the scientists, the mathematicians, we've done the research, we've done the calculations, and we've come to the conclusion that if we can inconvenience enough poor people, it's going to offset all the rich people behaving like giant assholes all the time. I'm dead serious. You should actually do it, because you want to know what's going to happen? Basically nothing. I guarantee you there will be a climate change protest outside of Seattle headquarters for like 45 minutes. Literally, just long enough for all the college students that showed up to get a quick picture for Instagram to show how much they care, and then they're all going to disappear and go back to what they were doing. And you want to know what they're going to leave behind? A mountain of garbage, and half of that garbage is going to be empty Starbucks cups anyways, okay? Nobody actually cares. Everybody's virtue signaling. Starbucks isn't a coffee shop. It's an unregulated bank. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is to go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
Wow. That guy's such a good storyteller. That's why I listen to him a lot. Well, we are south of Lake Elsinore. Or did we pass Lake Elsinore? We could have passed it already. I think we passed Lake Elsinore already. Wow. But we are still quite a bit a ways from Corona. And I am not taking Temescal Valley. That's where we're at. That's what the sign says up there. But the point is, we are quite far south of Corona. In fact, there's the sign, 10 miles from Corona, 58 miles away from Los Angeles. If we were going to continue up the 15, we're 105 miles away from Barstow, which we are not going near Barstow. We will get on the 91 west, and we will drive over to Orange County. I'm just not interested in paying $17 for the express lanes to get over to Orange County. Well, if I see it says $5.40, yeah, okay. That's it. This guy has a F-350 next to me. It's a Lariat edition. Oh, that's a nice truck. Oh, it's a King Ranch. That's a nice truck. Look at that trailer he has. It's awesome. Huh. Mescal Canyon Road. Can't even want to, or don't even want to try to pronounce those other two roads. Glen Ivan, next right. Uh-oh. Ramp closed ahead. Wonder how far. Oh, I have my map. I should be able to look at my map and see how far is the orange. Oh, now, another mile, and then it opens it back up to blue. Oh, that's Tom's Farm. You closed off Tom's Farm off ramp. That's literally a go-to spot. Like if you're in San Diego and you're going to Las Vegas, Tom's Farm is one of the places you want to stop. And today's Friday, and they're closing. Wow. Look at this. 1 mile and it's supposed to get better, but it just got worse. And I can see up to where it says on the map that it's going to get better. And it is just solid stop and go traffic. Wow. All right. Well, thank you for showing up. Bye-bye.